All right, welcome back, guys. Erika here, and I have a special guest. This time I've got like the third guest of this series. This time it's Steven Emorillo. He goes to we picked up a 12-game season package ticket thing this year, and he's the one that's always there with me. But we're
Most
here.
of the time.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Good season so far, real fun. So
yeah, I think we've got 11 games in, and I think we've seen.
I've missed a few. I know you went to a doubleheader. Orioles won, but the record's pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're like 9-2 or something. Yeah. They lost against the Padres and like one other team, the Mets, I think it was. Yeah, but I mean, still, I recommend it to anybody that can afford it. It's awesome. So we're here to talk about how the Yankees destroyed once again. At this point, it's inevitable.
Shocking.
It's automatic. How they destroyed the Baltimore Orioles this past week.
Yeah, Monday to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because it's doubleheader on Monday.
Yes. And actually, we were at the second game of the doubleheader. Earlier in the game, they won 8-5. And the game we went to, they won 11-8. It should have been a lot more of a blowout than that, but for some reason,
back in,
yeah, and for some reason the Yankees just keep throwing in Luis Cessa, and I know he's had good outings, but he's not looking too good of late. Like, he walks so many people, and Zach Britton too. He's been walking a lot of dudes.
I was actually watching the game yesterday when he got the 2 outs, but then gave up the 2 runs, and actually thought about it because when we were at the game, you're like, I don't know why they keep using him.
Yeah.
I see why. He has plus stuff, 96, 97. He has a decent secondary pitch. So I think when you look at those statistics, they play well out of the bullpen. So they want to keep trying them out. And those are the games you're going to try them out. If you're up 11-3, if you're up, yesterday they were up 4-1. Like, you're going to throw him into situations and see how he comes out. It's just, a strategy that's used in baseball from the beginning of time.
Yeah, and honestly, the Yankees, with all the injuries, they kind of need like a long relief pitcher, or kind of like a middle relief pitcher, because all their bullpen arms are one and done kind of guys, like 1 inning and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
2 guys.
Well, the premium ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ottavino, Zach Britton. You don't want to stretch those guys out because you want to use them every day.
Right, but it's starting to show because I know Stephen Tarpley just went down, Jonathan Holder's down, so like I just feel like they're using their bullpen arms. They're almost overexerting them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If you were Aaron Boone, would you put Luis Cessa in your playoff bullpen?
That's kind of tough to say. I mean, luckily we still have about a little bit over a month left in the season. So I would like to see him, again, used in those same situations if you're up big. Even if you want to put him in a tighter situation kind of spot, see if he comes through. Honestly, this month and 2 weeks that we have left, it's probably gonna, decide whether he makes the playoff roster or not. I think ultimately, I think he does end up on the rotation, in the bullpen rotation, just because of what you mentioned of the injuries and how heavily taxed the bullpen has been.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately, because like I mentioned before, with his plus stuff and what they see, I guess, analytic wise, I think he plays well in that spot. But, I mean, I know he has yet to do it. He has shown flashes, but I think ultimately he does. If you ask me now, I would say yes.
I mean, I think so. It really does show how much the Yankees are kind of missing David Hale right now, though, to be honest.
Yeah, because
he's out.
Who was pitching well.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, the Yankees, again, they did what they had to do against the O's. And like I've been saying, they've been, just like the Red Sox did last year, they're bullying under 500 teams and winning the games that they should be winning.
That's a good point, yeah.
People have been complaining a lot about it. They're saying that the Yankees are like the only team. Although everybody in the East plays the Orioles the same amount of times, people are complaining that the schedule is a little bit tilted towards their side. But, hey, the Red Sox did the same thing last year, and honestly, that's why they won the division last year. So just take advantage of...
You beat up on bad teams. That's what you're supposed to do when you're the better team.
Exactly. And who better at beating up the bad teams is Glaber Torres. I mean, that guy was on fire this past series. And I feel like he's always on fire. It's like deja vu all over again. Shout out to Yogi Berra. So he got 3 home runs in one day. He got 1 in the earlier game of the doubleheader, and then he got 2 back-to-back 3-run home runs.
In like an inning apart, I believe it was, yeah. Pretty wild. And we were there for that game. So, the place was going nuts. It's almost like where you get to the point where, I mean, the series with the Orioles is over for the season. But it's like if you're at a game or you're watching TV against the Orioles, you're expecting them to go yard every time. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
and that's why they have a record of most home runs against a single organization in the season.
Yeah, which is 61.
It's something ridiculous. It just keeps adding up every time I get onto this podcast. But another person that's heating up right now is actually, well, I think he's heating up. He's looking a little better at the plate. He seems to be fully healthy, and that's Gary Sanchez. That's your boy.
Yeah, big Gary fan. I still think he is probably the X factor in the Yankee lineup. You know where you're going to get from Judge. You know, well, we'll get to Judge in a second, but you know where you're going to get from Judge. You know Glaber is an all-around good hitter, if not great. And you have the other guys filling around. Urshela, I mean, DJ LeMahieu looks like he's going to win the batting title if he keeps it up. So these guys are all hitting. I think Gary Sanchez, if you get him to heat up, especially now, like I said, you have basically a month and 2 weeks left. And if he gets going right to where his batting average climbs back up to where it was prior to the All-Star break, which I believe he got it all the way up to, he was hitting like 270, still slugging, which is what you want. Like a guy like that who can, first inning, 2 guys on, he hits a 3-run shot. I mean, you do that in a playoff game, and that's huge.
Yeah, that, and also I'd like to see him get back to going opposite field, because in the beginning of the season, he seemed unstoppable. He kept going opposite field, and it was just like a little different from what Gary usually does. So
right, well, like almost like any power hitter, they do get pull happy at times, and guys, especially a guy like Gary Sanchez, Stan, Judge, who have that power, it's kind of, they want to hit a home run almost every at bat, which it's impossible. Like you brought a real point. I would like to see him take his base hits when they're giving him. Like I believe yesterday's game, they had the shift over, which they usually do on him. Is 3 infielders on the left side, and he hit a dribbler through second base, and you get on base. It's all about getting on base no matter what. You put the ball in play. That's the one thing I have against analytics per se is, strikeouts don't mean anything. They do in the playoffs when you're in the regular season, you have 162 games. That equation works. Whereas strikeouts don't matter, home runs, walks. That's what we want. Okay. In the playoffs, you have a limited amount of outs. Yeah. You can't give away outs, and you can't tell me that a strikeout doesn't matter if you got 1 out and a guy standing on third base. You did nothing.
Absolutely, and like I said, when I know Gary's getting hot, I just see him starting to go opposite field and getting those hits in the holes where he wasn't getting them before. But somebody that's trying to go opposite field too much and doesn't seem to be able to pull the ball of late, and just seems like he's just completely lost out there is Aaron Judge. Have you seen anything like that I haven't seen? I mean,
Well, you brought up a good point. I believe all his home runs, which is, I don't know the total he has right now.
I think it's 13.
13. I believe all 13 home runs have been to center right field, which is great. You would love any of your players to have that approach, because that just shows you his strength. He is using that approach going to right center and still hitting the ball out, but not at the clip or the rate that we're used to seeing the last 2 years. So it's a little bit concerning. I would say the only thing concerning about that really is that he's not getting around on the ball. So he's getting beat inside. And I just remember one at bat from yesterday, because actually shout out to Bundy. He got roughed up, and then I think he retired like 16 out of 17 hitters he faced after that. And the Yankees had like 3 hits.
Yep.
But he beat Judge. He had him on a 1-2 count, I believe it was. And it was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball that was up and like middle away. Mm-hmm. And he just looked like, it looks like he's guessing right now. So he's trying to break out of a slump. Is it the best strategy in the world? Probably not, but.
It was nice. I think he did pull a ball yesterday, though. Was it? Not yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yeah, he hit a double down the line. Yeah. So you like to see stuff like that. I'm just more concerned with a guy like with his abilities and like the tools he has as a hitter. You don't want to see a guy like that guessing up there.
Yeah.
He's not a guy, he's not a 250, 240 hitter. Like you want to see Aaron Judge in the 280s, which he had kind of maintained throughout the year. The weird thing about Judge is like he's almost an anomaly. He's gonna get a hit, he's gonna strike out, he's gonna walk in the same game.
Yeah.
That's why his numbers always like you look like, wow, he has so many strikeouts, but how is his on base percentage so high and his batting average is still pretty high, and his slugging and his power numbers, and it's because of that. He feel like when he's not guessing, when Aaron Judge is right, he takes a lot of pitches. How many times have you seen him go full count?
Yeah.
I feel like him and Hicks are like 2 of the best guys in the league at that.
And you haven't been seeing that of late.
No.
But what was it? Also, like with the strikeouts, he doesn't have a fair advantage up there. I mean, I still don't think umpires know how to go about his strike zone. He always gets struck out on very low pitches across the shins. So
I think it's almost become like a normality where you see two, like I would say an average like 2 or 3 calls. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 2 or 3 calls in one game. I mean, one strike can change your whole at bat. There's a difference between being 2-1 and 1-2 in a count, and you're going up there defensively instead of like being ahead and being aggressive.
Yeah, and
which could be part of it too.
Yeah.
Could be part of his little hesitation towards pulling. Almost like if he has 2 strikes always, if he's in a 2-strike count, it's kind of hard to even a player the caliber that he is, a hitter. It's kind of hard to go out there and do what you want. You also can't take, I guess, too many chances when you got 2 strikes.
Yeah, but hopefully he starts turning it around. I mean, if you're going to get hot, you want to get hot now going into the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, as far as like the your pitcher strategy, so the Yankees are being told they don't have enough pitching to get far into the playoffs. I've personally made the argument that the bullpen, having such a deep bullpen, can win it, but who would be like your starters? How would you go about your starters in the playoffs?
I guess you would have to. You're getting at that point now with Herman where he does have that innings limit. So I feel like he is definitely a guy that has to be a starter at this point. There's no way we're going to go into the playoffs and not start a guy who has 16 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. His ERA is a little bloated, but if you look at what he was doing in the first quarter of the season, he was getting guys out at an insane rate, especially with his curveball. He's heavy on the curveball.
Yeah.
And it's something the Yankees actually, as a pitching side, are implementing more is the breaking ball and laying off of the fastball, especially when you got guys with, that there's stuff pitches to that. So like Tanaka and Herman. I would say right now, if you're looking at ALDS, because it's a pretty much a lock that the Yankees are going to have the first round bye. I would say you're looking at Masahiro Tanaka, Domingo Herman, and honestly, James Paxton has to show me more.
Mm-hmm.
He's been better of late, but those are like the 3 starters I think I would ride: ALDS and also ALCS if they get there, which I think we should. But one strategy that you've seen, and I think I've mentioned to you this, we were driving into one of the games. I don't remember if it was Monday or if it was one of the prior games we went to, of them actually using an opener in the playoffs,
mm-hmm.
which I wouldn't be opposed to. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, Chad Green looks pretty good every time he goes out there. It's like, and it's almost a coin flip. You can say, hey, if he gets 1, 2, 3, an inning where he doesn't throw 20-something pitches the first inning, you probably throw him out for the second inning.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're 12-0 with him on the bump.
Yep.
As an opener. So I mean, it works, especially in a playoff series where you just got to win those 3 games to advance to, let's say, the ALCS.
I mean, you could also use him as an opener for James Paxton, if anything, too. Because James Paxton just doesn't seem to be able to get out of the first inning unscathed.
His ERA is the highest, in the first inning. It's really weird, especially a guy with his stuff. Throws 98 miles an hour and he has an insane breaking ball. I don't know, he gets hit. And
then he settles down and he strikes out like 8 in the rest of the game. It's
he like I said, he's a power arm, power pitcher, and I remember calling you. I was giddy when the Yankees traded for him. I was like, this is like the offseason signing that, that we should have, if people want to use that word, should have went out and gotten a pitcher. But I thought I was really content when they got James Paxton. I think he has incredible stuff. Like I said, I feel like I keep repeating myself, but it's just the guy has all the tools that you want in a starter.
I mean, and everything is different in the playoffs, so you never know.
He's never been to the playoffs too, so that's a whole other factor.
And let's not forget, I mean, there's also still Dellin Betances who can get added to your bullpen. And then you have Luis Severino who can be easily an opener because he's not in mid-season form whatsoever.
Right.
So
that's a good point that I think we discussed also. I think I mentioned to you, I would actually like to see Severino as a starter opener. We don't have, the minor league season ends a month ahead, so it's almost coming to an end, I believe, now. For maybe first week of September, something like that. You're not going to have, I guess, like a stage to show him out, see if, what he has as far as like you give guys their rehab starts.
Yeah.
He's not going to have that privilege. Neither is Betances. So I think they're going to be limited to simulated games, which at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a simulated game. It doesn't count. You want to see him in game form and in game situations against live hitters. So I believe we're not going to have. The Yankees aren't going to have enough time to stretch his arm out as where we're going to get him to a 6-inning, 7-inning guy. Like he's used to going. He goes deep in games. The guy's a workhorse. But I do believe with simulated games and bullpen sessions, you can build him up. He is a starter. It's not like it's something new. But if you could use him kind of as an opener in a sense where, hey, we're giving you 3 innings, go out there and pitch your butt off. Like I think it works, especially like you mentioned before with our bullpen. Our bullpen is our strength. You get 3 innings out of anybody now these days, especially the prime pitcher like Severino, who was an ace. He was our ace last year, regardless of what happened in the playoffs. I think it's the strategy to go with, and I think it's something that if you tell Boone, hey, Severino can give you 3 innings, to start a game, I think he'll sign up for that every day of the week. So
yeah, I think Cashman and the Yankees just created like a new formula, like about how to go up in the playoffs. So instead of it being, pitching wins playoff games, it's true, but does it have to be starting pitching? It can easily be relief pitchers. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And I mean, the Red Sox won last year kind of with the same formula. So they didn't really have a stud starting pitcher consistently. So
right, they would have guys like I know Price had a couple outings where he showed up. Sale pitched good, a couple outings on the stretch. But then you also had guys like Nathan Eovaldi who came in that game against the Dodgers. It was like he lost a game, but it was still an insane performance.
Yeah. But all right, so the Yankees are gonna go up against they have a 4-game series against Cleveland at home. Cleveland's coming off of a rough series against the Red Sox. So surprisingly, the Red Sox were able to beat up on Andrew Cashner actually came up for them finally big, but they were able to win I think 2 of 3 or whatever it was.
I believe the Indians won last night.
So hopefully the Yankees can kind of tag them up too, because they are going to be they are a hot team right now, and they are a team that they could potentially see in the playoffs. And tonight it's Chad Green. He's going to be he's the opener again. Hopefully, get 13-0, go undefeated right now. So, a couple injury updates. You were saying Voit is now.
Yeah, I was watching video on Voit. He was doing drills at first base. I didn't see any swinging, but I'm sure he's probably swinging it back. I mean, he looked okay. He was moving. He wasn't lingering. He didn't look sluggish. So I feel like if you ask Luke Voit, he's probably ready to come back.
Yeah.
But they're probably going to take their times because at this point, is it really a necessity? I don't think.
No.
I don't think it is. As great as he is, we can afford to, get 100%, the long run, the playoffs and the World Series. That's what I believe every Yankee fan and Yankee administration is aiming for. So
yeah.
Especially when you have a 14.5 game lead.
Yeah,
over the Sox and like a 10 or 11 game lead on the Rays.
I've been saying the Yankees are just waiting for October at this point. They're just playing the waiting game, but
you can't get idle though. It's kind of dangerous.
Right.
You still got to play at a high.
I don't want to see Mike Ford at first anymore. I'm so tired of that guy. No offense. And I know Betances is throwing from the mound. Sevy's throwing from the mound.
Sevy, yeah, we saw a video of his bullpen session. I mean, his arm speed looked great. He looked like he wasn't holding back and no complaints of pain or anything like that afterwards. So that's a really, really good sign.
Great sign. And then I know Stanton went on the 60-day IL. The reason for that was apparently just so that they could maneuver the active player roster right now. But for some reason, Boone is still saying, although there hasn't been any baseball activities, that he will be back before the playoffs or by the playoffs. And honestly, that kind of scares me because he hasn't been playing in a very long time, and that's a guy that is constantly 0-2 in account. He's going to have to play catch-up, and he's kind of always playing catch-up as is. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but the way Talkman is playing right now, how do you sit him? So,
right, and those guys kind of give you, I feel like, not to say that Stan's a slouch in outfield, but they give you plus defense in a guy like Talkman and Cameron Maybin. I feel like the defensive side of Stanton's game is something that I don't know you as a Yankee fan, but I know if you're just clearly a Yankee fan, only pay attention to the Yankees, and you didn't know much about Giancarlo Stanton, probably all you know about him is that the guy hits 35, 40 home runs a season, and he's okay now. He's actually a really good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees actually moved him from his natural position, his right field. Obviously, not going to move Judge. And they put him in left. So it took him a little bit of adjusting, but he is, like I said, he's not a slouch in left field. He's an athlete. My only base concern is, like you mentioned, what kind of player is he going to be if he comes off and he's like, all right, boom, he comes in middle of September, hey, get right in 2 weeks, and it's off to the playoffs. Like, I don't think that bodes well for a Giancarlo Stanton, like the type of player that he is.
Yeah. But, I mean, we'll see. Again, there's a lot of time left in the season. There's a lot that can happen. Injuries can still happen. I mean, hopefully not. The Yankees have kind of done their due diligence with injuries this season already. But other than that, hopefully the Yankees can take 3 out of 4 against the Indians. And I guess we'll see you after that series. Let's go, Yankees.
Go Yanks.
And thank you, Steven, for joining the podcast.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.